There is one fact that might surprise you. There are more bacteria in your mouth right now than there are people on Earth. Most of them have been with you through the whole night, and while you were sleeping, they kept working. Every morning you brush your teeth, but brushing only removes some of them. The rest are still somewhere in your mouth, on your tongue, between your teeth, waiting for your first sip of coffee or your first bite of food. Most people never think about this. They brush, they rinse with water, and they go about their day. But the overnight activity in your mouth is something brushing alone was never fully designed to handle. And that is exactly what we are talking about today. So let's name this habit clearly. Rinsing with salt water. 30 seconds. Every morning. Before you eat or drink anything. Not instead of brushing your teeth. Not a replacement for anything you already do. This is one small step that goes before brushing, before coffee, before breakfast. Just 30 seconds, with a small glass of warm salt water, first thing in the morning. This might sound old-fashioned, or too simple to matter, but that is exactly why most people skip it. Simple habits are easy to ignore, because they do not look like much. They look like nothing at all, and then they quietly work, day after day, in ways you only notice later, when you look back and realize something has slowly changed. Here is the question we are answering today. Why does your mouth need salt water in the morning, before anything else? By the end of this, you will know the answer, and you will know exactly what to do tonight and tomorrow morning. But if brushing already feels like enough, why add one more step? Let's look at that first. It is not because people are lazy or do not care about their teeth. Most people brush every single day, sometimes twice. The problem is something else completely. Brushing already feels like enough. Nobody ever explained that brushing and rinsing with salt water are two different things, doing two different jobs. Brushing cleans the surfaces of your teeth. Salt water reaches places your toothbrush simply cannot go. Your tongue, the soft inside of your cheeks, the spaces between your teeth and gums. Most people never learn this difference, so they never think to add the extra step. It is not something they did wrong. It is simply something that was never explained. And salt water does not look impressive. Mouthwash comes in a blue bottle. It smells strong and minty. It looks professional, like something made in a laboratory. A glass of warm water with a little salt looks like nothing at all. So people trust the blue bottle more, even when the simple glass might work just as well for much less money. There is another reason, and it is a quiet one. After you rinse with salt water, your mouth does not feel very different right away. It does not taste like mint. There is no strong feeling telling you something happened. That missing signal makes the habit easy to skip, because it is hard to feel the difference in the moment. A habit that gives no immediate feeling is easy to forget. It also comes down to where we learn our habits. Most people grow up watching their parents brush, floss, maybe use mouthwash. Saltwater rinsing is not something most families do, so it never becomes part of the morning routine. If nobody around you does it, it simply never crosses your mind. And you cannot add a habit that you have never seen or heard of before. And even when someone hears about saltwater rinsing and decides to try, a small question often comes up. Should I use this instead of mouthwash, or as well as mouthwash? The answer is simple. Salt water is not a replacement for anything. It is an addition, a small, free, quiet one that goes before the rest of your morning routine. You do not need to choose between them. You simply add the glass of salt water before everything else. Everything you already do stays exactly as it is. Still, on a rushed morning, one extra step is often all it takes for a new habit to slip away before it even starts. The intention was there. The morning was simply too fast. All of these reasons make sense. You are not doing anything wrong by skipping this step. It is simply one that most people were never shown, never explained, and never given a reason to try. But here is what actually happens in your mouth while you sleep, and why salt water is one of the simplest answers to it. Let's keep this simple. Your mouth is home to hundreds of different kinds of bacteria. This is completely normal. Not all of them are harmful. Many of them are actually helpful, keeping your mouth balanced and healthy. Bacteria in your mouth is not the problem. What changes in the morning is where things get interesting. During the day, your mouth makes saliva all the time. Saliva is not just water. It washes bacteria away. It carries oxygen, which slows down certain bacteria. It helps keep the whole environment of your mouth balanced. You swallow saliva all day without thinking about it. And with every swallow, millions of bacteria go with it. At night, your body slows down saliva production almost completely. This is a natural part of sleep, but it means that while you are sleeping, bacteria in your mouth have hours with very little to slow them down. With very little to slow them down. They stay in place. They become more active. They break down proteins in your mouth and produce gases, which is exactly where morning breath comes from. It is not just food from the night before. It is 8 hours of bacterial activity in a dry, quiet mouth. Many dentists say that bacteria in saliva increase during sleep. The feeling you wake up with, that dry, thick, slightly sour taste, is simply your mouth telling you what happened overnight. It is not imagined. It is the result of a long night with very little saliva and very active bacteria. Most people assume that taste comes from food the night before, but it would be there even on an empty stomach. This is where salt comes in. Salt water creates an environment that makes it harder for certain bacteria to thrive. It does not remove all bacteria completely, and that is fine, because not all bacteria should go. But rinsing with salt water in the morning helps wash away the overnight buildup from your tongue and the soft parts of your mouth that your toothbrush never touches. Many dentists and health professionals suggest saltwater rinses as a simple, low-cost way to support gum health and keep the mouth clean between brushing. It is not a cure for anything. It is a quiet, daily act of care for a part of your body that works hard every single day. Here is a simple example. There was someone who had sensitive gums for years. Nothing big, just a little bleeding when they brushed, a little soreness that came and went. Their dentist suggested saltwater rinsing as a gentle daily habit. They tried it for a few weeks, 30 seconds every morning, before anything else. They did not expect much, but after a few weeks, they noticed the bleeding had become less frequent. Their gums felt less tender. Nothing changed fast. It was slow, quiet, the kind of change you only notice when you look back and realize things are different from how they used to be. A second example, a little different. There was someone who always felt like their mouth still tasted stale in the morning, even right after brushing. They had tried different toothpastes, different mouthwashes, but nothing quite felt clean. Someone suggested trying salt water first, before brushing, to clear out the overnight buildup before the toothbrush even started. After a week of doing this, they said their mouth felt different after brushing. Cleaner. Not just fresher smelling, but actually cleaner. The salt water had done its job first, and the toothbrush finished the rest. One more short story. A student who studied late at night and always woke up feeling slow and stale-mouthed started the saltwater habit after hearing about it from a friend. They said it was the first thing that made their morning feel like it was starting clean. Before coffee, before food, before anything. Small as it was, it became the first good thing they did each day. Not because it changed everything, because it changed one quiet moment, first thing, and that was enough. So now you understand why salt water matters in the morning. The next question is simple. How do you actually remember to do it? And how do you make it easy enough that a rushed morning doesn't get in the way? Here is the part that makes this easy. You do not need a new routine. You do not need to set a reminder or change anything major about your morning. You only need to attach this small step to something you already do every single morning. You already brush your teeth. That moment, walking to the bathroom, picking up your toothbrush, is your trigger. A trigger is the moment that starts a habit. Right now, your trigger leads straight to your toothbrush. We are simply going to add one step before it. Not after, not later, right before. The order is simple. First, the saltwater rinse. Then, brush your teeth as usual. Everything else stays exactly the same. The reason it goes first matters. Your mouth has the most overnight buildup right when you wake up. Rinsing first clears that away before your toothbrush starts. It also means you are not washing away your toothpaste at the end, which some people worry about. Putting the rinse first removes that concern entirely. And it means the very first thing you do for your mouth in the morning is also the gentlest. The amount of salt is small. About 1/4 teaspoon in a small glass of warm water. Warm water is more comfortable than cold first thing in the morning, and it helps the salt mix in easily. The water should taste lightly salty, not strong. If it tastes too salty, add a little more water. If you can barely taste the salt, that is probably fine either way. There is no perfect amount. A small pinch in warm water is enough. 30 seconds is enough time. You can count slowly in your head. You do not need a timer. Just rinse. Move the water gently around your mouth. Make sure it reaches your tongue and the sides, and spit. That is the whole habit. If you have a sore throat or a cold, salt water is especially gentle, and many people already use it at those times. But you do not need to wait for a sore throat to start. Doing it every morning as a quiet daily habit is when it does the most for your mouth over time. Most people think of salt water only when something hurts. The habit works best when nothing hurts at all. The most important thing to prepare is not the salt or the water. It is the glass. A small glass, left out on your sink next to your toothbrush, is the real trigger. When your eyes land on it in the morning, you do not need to remember or decide. The glass is already there, already telling you what comes next. So here is exactly what you can do, starting tonight. Tonight, put a small glass next to your toothbrush. Put your salt somewhere close, easy to reach. On the bathroom shelf, on the sink, wherever your hand will find it without thinking. You are not changing your morning. You are simply setting it up so the morning takes care of itself. Tomorrow morning, before you eat or drink anything, before coffee, before breakfast, before anything, Add a little salt to that glass, fill it with warm water, and rinse for 30 seconds. That's it. One small glass, 30 seconds. Before anything else, you do not need to buy anything new. Salt is already in your kitchen. A glass is already in your cupboard. The only real action tonight is moving those two things to the bathroom, where your morning begins. If you forget the first morning, that is fine. The glass will still be there the next morning, waiting. If you do it and feel nothing right away, that is also fine. This habit works quietly, over time, not in a single morning. Most good habits do. They build slowly, in the background, until one day you realize you have not skipped in weeks. You might find the salt taste a little strong at first. Try a little less salt the next day. You might find the water a bit too warm or too cool. Adjust it until it feels comfortable. There is no perfect version of this habit. There is only the version you do every morning without thinking too hard about it. If you live with other people, the glass on the sink might get moved or used by someone else. You can keep a small cup just for this. Something small that stays next to your toothbrush and only serves this one purpose. Some people find it easiest to mix the glass the night before, leaving it ready so there is nothing to do in the morning at all. Others mix it quickly while the kettle boils for their morning drink. Find the small moment in your morning that works, and place the habit there. If you travel, this habit comes with you. Salt is in every kitchen, every hotel breakfast table. A glass is in every bathroom. This is one habit that asks almost nothing from you, no matter where you are. One more thing worth saying. You do not need to tell anyone you are doing this. You do not need to track it or post about it. This is a quiet habit, just for you, just for your mouth, just for the first 30 seconds of your day. Tonight, put a small glass and your salt next to your toothbrush. Tomorrow morning, before anything else, mix a little salt into warm water and rinse for 30 seconds. Can you try this tomorrow? I think you can. It costs almost nothing. It takes 30 seconds. And your mouth will have one small, clean start before the rest of your day begins. That is worth 30 seconds of anyone's morning. There are more bacteria in your mouth right now than there are people on Earth. Most of them have been there all night, and while you were sleeping, they kept working. Now you know what to do about it. Picture tomorrow morning. You walk into the bathroom. There is a small glass next to your toothbrush. You already know what it is there for. You add a little salt, fill it with warm water, rinse for 30 seconds. Then you brush your teeth, the way you always do. Nothing about your morning looks different from the outside. No new product on the shelf. No extra time spent. But something quiet happened first. Something most people skip without ever knowing it was an option. Your mouth started the day clean, in a way that brushing alone cannot quite do. And 30 seconds was all it took. That is the whole habit. Not expensive, not complicated. Just 30 seconds, before everything else, repeated every morning until it becomes as automatic as reaching for your toothbrush. Some mornings you might forget. That is fine. The glass will be there the next morning. Some mornings, the water might be too cold or the salt a little too much. Adjust it. This habit does not need to be perfect to work. It only needs to happen, most mornings, over time, until the glass on the sink is simply part of what your bathroom looks like. Until you reach for it, the same way you reach for your toothbrush, without deciding, without remembering, just doing. Let's remember what we talked about today. While you sleep, your mouth produces less saliva, and bacteria become more active overnight. Bacteria build up on your tongue and between your teeth and gums, in places your toothbrush does not reach. Salt water helps wash away that overnight buildup before you eat or drink anything. It supports your gums gently, over time, without needing any special product. 30 seconds every morning before anything else. Tonight, put a small glass and your salt next to your toothbrush. Tomorrow morning, before anything else, rinse for 30 seconds with warm salt water. That is the one thing. Now let's go over our words for today. Bacteria. Bacteria are very small living things, too small to see, that live in your mouth. Overnight. Overnight means during the night, while you were sleeping. Rinse. To rinse means to wash something quickly with water. Salt. Salt is what you mix into warm water for this habit. Gum. Your gums are the soft pink part of your mouth around your teeth. Fresh. After rinsing, your mouth feels fresh and clean. Habit. A habit is something small you do every day, almost without thinking. If this was helpful, listen again, or share it with a friend who wants to learn English and start their morning a little better. And if you want, tell us in the comments. Do you already rinse with salt water in the morning? Or is this new for you? 1 glass, a little salt, 30 seconds. That is all it takes. See you next time.